This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride, where we're self-sponsored because nobody else ever would. I'm James Beastie. This is the Burton Skeleton Key. And it's been a little while. It was really fun to get back out on this. And I rode it with Burton Kendos, Union Atlas, got it in some late spring conditions and had a time with it. But I've ridden this in all other types of conditions, everything from pretty deep powder to icy snow. Well, West Coast ice, not East Coast ice. Here is my short summary of it. This is basically a board that I really like. The flight attendant, but made a little more directional, a little bit more set back. It's a little softer. It's got a more easily accessible flex for an average rider. And it's just an incredibly fun board to turn. It just does a lot of things really good. The only place it just doesn't really excel is in harder snow. It just doesn't have the edge hold like some of those other boards do. I just love this board's energy, its pop, and just the overall personality. It just makes you feel like you're a better snowboarder in good conditions when you're on it. Now, when it comes to sizing, I feel again like I'm kind of in between the 54 and 58 for weight. For boot size, that 54 feels pretty good. And in the past, I didn't really like the 58 as much as the 54. But I think after riding so many wide boards, I've been conditioned to enjoy a little bit of a wider board like the 58 Skeleton Key. And I had a really good time on it. It was pretty well matched for my weight, and I think if they had a 56, that would be my perfect board, but I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards the 58 side of things versus the 54. Now, when it comes to shape, it's tapered and directional, very similar taper to like, not quite the same, but similar to like the Hometown Hero next to it, the flight attendant, way more taper than the cartographer next to it, but has that balanced free ride geometry side cut, which basically makes it feel less washy than it is. And it does not feel as tapered as it is when you're making a turn. It doesn't feel quite like a double ender, but it's pretty good. And I like that feel with this directional camber profile. It's best to put this on an advanced to expert rider who understands how to actually turn. So when you get off your game and you have to skid a turn, you know how to do it, because it's definitely more challenging than their Flying V, their flat top, and many other hybrid camber boards out there with more rocker in the nose and tail. It's way easier than camber, but still not ideal. And it tracks really well one footing off the chair and has a really consistent personality in all conditions except for ice and hard snow. Then it lets go a little easy. Now let's talk flex. It's a mellower flex, but it's not super mellow. From tip to tail, you can see it gives a little bit, but in the center, it's really stiff. In the nose, it's got a little give, and in the tail, a little give. Maybe the tail's a touch stiffer than the nose, but they both feel a little softer than the center. But what I found is this is a reasonable butterer. It's pretty easy to butter for some reason on snow for me, my weight, and my ability level. When it comes to pop, I love this slightly mellower flex in comparison to a lot of Burton boards like the Hometown Hero, the Flight Attendant, and especially like the Deep Thinker and boards like that. This just has a little bit softer flex. On snow, it feels softer and it really pops. It really is easy to ollie for an advanced rider who's just not a ripper like myself, but just somebody who rides a lot. I think you can access this really well and get some good air on an ollie, and it just really springs. Very dynamic flex. When it comes to speed, yeah, you probably want to be on a stiffer board if you really like to point it, but I had no problem with medium to medium fast mountain speed for average riders like myself. This just did a great job. And the base glide is good, but Lately I've been having little weird issues here and there with the bases. Usually they're just up there at the top of the class, and they still are in most situations, but sometimes I just felt like certain waxes from Burton, just their basic all-temp wax, could feel a bit chalky your first wax. Sometimes I needed a base grind, like with my 3D daily driver, to get that wax to kind of absorb correctly and to not feel chalky and slow. And then it was back to being just super fast and easy glidey. When it comes to uneven terrain, this is a great all-day resort rider. It can power through chunder at moderate speeds, but it really shines for people who are doing all-day resort riding. They want something that's really fun and good in the morning when the conditions are perfect. It shines there, but it doesn't fall apart on you as the day just gets messy and sloppy, and all the groomers get kind of either micro bumpy or just full on bumpy or messy, just lots of pushed around soft snow. This can still handle it. It can turn through bumps really well if you size it right, and it never passes up that kind of inconsolable chatter into your joints that just really bothers you. This does a good job there. Now, when it comes to edge hold, this would be one of my complaints. I'm not asking for a disruption in the side cut to really grip hard like Mervin boards or like a lot of other boards out there in the industry, but even in comparison to other like multi-radius side cuts or just smooth side cuts from other companies, I just feel like the edges don't quite have the grip that those boards do, and they let go a little earlier than some boards in hard to icy snow. So be careful if you ride in those areas. If you ride in an area like I do at Mount Bachelor, it's not that hard that often on a good season. So you could ride this a lot and really not have problems with it. But when you see those hard to icy days, you might want to get on something else. When it comes to turn initiation, this is pretty quick, and it's still not like the 54 for me. Again, I'd love like a 56. That would be the perfect for just easy turn initiation. But I had so much fun initiating the turn, and even more fun once I got the side cut engaged and I started to widen out the turning radius a little bit. It really has just this amazing turning experience, kind of like the Showstopper and the Flight Attendant and a lot of Burton boards, even in that realm of the Custom X, even though that's like the Showstopper and the Custom X are something different. But it just has that Burton turning magic that they're one of the only companies I've experienced this feel with, where it's just so dynamic and fun, just really going out in all kinds of carves. It's definitely not the best for big down the line S-turns like you can do with the Flight Attendant, or you could do with the Deep Thinker. Those are gonna be more aggressive and down the line, but this did pretty good with that too, and it's fun with an across the groomer carve, and not bad on a circle carve either. Not amazing, but very doable, and I just love the turning and carving experience of this board. Very balanced side cut for doing just a little bit of everything, and I like that. When it comes to powder, I haven't had the 58 in powder, but I've had past models with the same shape, almost the same board, in deep powder, and it did really well. I like it better than the Flight Attendant. I like it better than the Deep Thinker. I like it better than the Hometown Hero. Way better than the Cartographer, but that's kind of more on that borderline between all mountain and freeride. This is definitely very directional freeride, bordering on alternative freeride, and you can really feel that setback on board, that early rise in the nose, where you don't feel that taper as much in the tail on groomers. It comes alive in powder, you feel that taper, and the tail does sink, and it's really fun. It's not like the 3D Fish. It's not gonna be a dedicated powder board, but for a board that does turning this well, it does really good in powder. It's a very balanced board for powder and groomers, and I really like that. Switch and park and that kind of stuff is doable, but you know, That's not what you get this board for. And overall, the Skeleton Key is one of those boards that kind of comes in and out of the favorites list, but is always often recommended to a lot of different riders. As long as you don't see hard to icy snow a lot, this could be a really good choice. And it's just one of those boards that just makes me happy when I get on it. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the eHarmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.